actually feels so normal to us because it's much closer to us than our underwear. It is the way we live through. And this is experienced in our system as normal. This is the world how it is. And sometimes it's just good to change gear for a moment. Maybe get a feeling for your physical body, your physical being. You're sitting, most probably, or laying in a certain place. There is a physical weight to your body and tension in your system. And maybe you also can already start with having a look if you really give the weight of your body to the ground. This sounds like a silly question. Of course, gravitation pulls you. But internally, we might still be a little bit mistrusting, keeping control, like internally pulling our legs up, pulling our shoulders high, pulling our breath in. And just, if something like this is happening, just relax into it. And then also to see that this tension, if it might be there, is an expression of intelligence. It's an expression of the intelligence of yesterday. So if there is, for example, a carefulness, a mistrust, it's the outcome of an experience. And this is the most interesting thing. It's mostly the experience of a child. And being a child is a very interesting situation. We are full of life, very open, very curious, but totally dependent on relating. We are not able to survive on our own. And actually we have created a world already which is very fond of, very proud of being as independent as early as possible. So our developmental psychology, our being in the world, our construction as humanity is not kind of going with that very easily. So we already have symptoms in our world which we keep for normal. Kind of a constant busyness, constant think before you act. And this is not against thinking, it's about having a deeper look into which kind of thinking is activated in the moment. Is it a compensatory thinking, fueled by not feeling? Or is it really an intelligent, creative thinking? Or thinking as a servant to my plans, to what wants to happen? Or is it a thinking out of the need to control the situation? This is something very different. And what we are going to talk about a little bit is a subtle competency, a subtle awareness of maybe energies, and definitely a deeper awareness of our physical body, because in many ways our physicality is just a reflection of our inner state. And the inner and the outer are kind of just reflections of each other. My outer perfectly fits to my inner state and vice versa in some ways. And about the possibility when disturbances come into our life to deal with this. Grounding might sound a little bit esoteric, but actually it has to do with the transformation of inspiration into physical life. Before Apple was the most valuable company in the world, it was an idea, it was an inspiration. If you have a partner, if you're married, if you have children, first of all, they are an inspiration before they are a physical body. And what we're gonna look into deeper is how we can intelligently be with this process. As, in a way, we could say that as humans, we are the connection of inspiration into the world. We are a vehicle for transforming energy, inspiration, for example, into matter. And this means grounding. So, like, how can an idea become a company? How can an idea become an action? And also, how do ideas become not action? How do I act and how do I prevent? What are automatic behaviors in that, for example? And to have a deeper look into that, and also how to directly experience this. If I cannot experience directly the way from, or the landing, the grounding from an inspiration, through my mind, through my thinking process, through my communication, through my heart for it, things are urgent, they mean something to me and the world I want to connect it to, through my plans, my kind of more plan making, business plan making, acting, through the feelings it has, the fear it might cause, the excitement, the joy, the fun, into a real physical expression. And either I'm dependent on the symptoms I create on this process, then it will kind of meet me in certain symptoms which come back and back and back in a way, or I can directly connect to the flow of energy, how it lands in the physical world. And on the way down, I also can, if I have this ability, see where it stopped in the system, where the symptom is created. Which means where the openness, or the kind of openness I come with into this world, got constricted out of my reactions, out of my experiences. So was, for example, in my family, was it a good thing to be adventurous? Was it a good thing to ask? Was it easy to relate? Was it whatever? Or did I learn to hold myself much too early, for example, because the ground was not so safe, because the support was not in a way suitable to my system. And this is not about blaming my parents, of course. It's only about looking what has happened. How do we interact? How is the world? How has the world already become materialized through my system? And how is this, for example, supporting my life, and how is it in the way of my life? And how am I creating suffering, for example? How am I creating that things work or don't work? And also in a repetitive not working, what is working in the not working? What is the seemingly not working serving? So that we honor the intelligence acting through us, but also see the perspective, how I might look on what's happening just in this moment. So that we kind of can become in this process more present, more experiencing what's really going on. And this is an interesting process because when the expression of my life energy got disturbed as a child or as a teenie or whenever, this doesn't feel good. And we have a very beautiful inbuilt mechanism to deal with that. So when things don't feel good over a longer time, we can push them beyond the feeling barrier. It feels like not feeling. I'm in a constant fear of going to school. I'm forced to go to school, and somehow I manage that. Somehow I find a way around this feeling, this constant feeling of disturbance. And I create a place of not feeling, of dissociation in myself. And my brain is a very intelligent thing. It fills the seeming hole, like Photoshop. It puts something in there. A reason, an assumption, a design of the world. It is like that. So we learn about the universe out of very single focused situations and then generalize it into the world. Not all women are like this. My mother was like that. Not school is like this. This single teacher is like that. But then in this generalizing, this is what our mind does. It's sometimes not so easy to find the way back out of that. And there are many possibilities. So thousands of therapies, thousands of therapists, kind of looking deeper into myself, meditation, tons of processes we can use to find back into the flow of energy. And the interesting thing, of course, is in the moment I start doing this process of freeing my inspiration again, I will face the old fears. And my system will kind of offer me thousands of emergency exits to not feel that again, because it's the expression of my intelligence. I'm not stupid. I don't go there. It feels so shit. Why have that again? No, I find a way around that. And in the way around that, I create symptoms, of course, disturbance with the world. And also with my inner process, with my kind of inner truth, my inner authenticity. And I always run into the same things, repetitive behavior. And of course, I see the world is like that. Women are like that. Men are like that. Schools are like this. Business is like that. You cannot do this in business. You cannot talk about this with men, women with men. So all these kind of generalizations. And then to see what is just happening in this very moment. And what we definitely can do in that is open again to our ability to perceive. Because actually what we do is we stop perceiving certain qualities, certain kind of fears, certain disturbances, certain movements of energies, certain thoughts. But mostly it's about certain kind of feelings when I'm interacting with the world. And what we definitely can do is open again to this process and do it in a well-prepared surrounding, which means in a surrounding which is most probably as safe as possible, and also with like-minded people who are at least more or less open to unravel this process again, the hiding process. And then bring back into relating what we took out of relationship. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to think that. I don't want to do that. And then I hide it. And so what we can do together is kind of open this process again and see, where are the disturbances? When the inspiration wants to land, where is it creating loops of energy, loops of loops. So the energy is circulating. It cannot move anymore. So how can we restore the original movement? And as long as this energy is circulating, I have to deal with it. In a way, this is past. The past is not yesterday, it's only the circulating energy. Because when this is opened again, it's finished. It's finished for all times. And also, humanity or the universe has a deeper experience to deal with this kind of situations. So it's not only something I do for myself, I also do for kind of the information pool of whole humanity, in a way. And we can open that a lot. So we can kind of, as deep as we want to go into the more kind of a spiritual thing. So like I can connect to my thoughts, to my abstract thinking, which was 200 or 300 years ago not very common in humanity. The way of abstract thinking, the as-if thinking we have today, was some 100 years ago not very common in humanity. And still in many parts of the planet it is not yet. Our way of thinking, what we call logic, is not part of the human world everywhere on the planet. There are many kind of pre-rational areas. And also in our countries, even if you live in a well-developed or in a higher developed Western country, we still have kind of pre-rational and rational, post-rational developmental states, which in a way are not so easy to connect with when we don't realize what's going on. So that we kind of open this process again and develop or kind of open our flow of energy again. The life energy, which wants to express itself, and the inspiration, which wants to ground itself, so that they work together again. Okay, so just as a short introduction from my side. And if you feel like having a question or adding something or starting a conversation about this, I invite you to unmute yourself. You should be able to do that just by pressing the mute unmute button on the left bottom of your window. And let's hear.
So Marcus, while people are thinking of questions, I wanted to ask you, in companies, when you're working in companies, how do you do this work? How do you bring this work into a company?
Well, this depends on the needs of the people. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if it depends, first of all, it depends on the question the persons have. So, for example, it can be a training about communication skills, about the ability to listen to other people without shutting down and yelling at each other. This is very simple, kind of very basic things, kind of a communication training. This is that we already have the base, first of all, to talk to each other, to communicate. And it can be a very kind of sophisticated process, like with one CEO, we really look into this energetic process of creating his company. Mm-hmm. How energies come in and in which areas of his company they get disturbed. So this is a little bit dependent on the ability to perceive. If this sounds like science fiction or like esoteric for somebody, it will not work. If this is something we can kind of reflect in our perceptual world, mm-hmm. then this is something we can work with.
Okay.
Like imagine you pour energy, or you pour a drop of light into the pillar of your system. And then see how far does this drop of light, very up there, it is light, but then it becomes inspiration, a vague idea, more concrete ideas. You can talk about it. How deeply does this drop of inspiration land in your system? So we can make it a perception, and we can do that with persons, and we also can do that with teams or with companies, for example. So there is a huge range of possibilities in that.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, because with us, you're going to be working with a small group. Where we're going to be looking at our own and working with actual practical tools. You're going to be giving us a lot of practical tools. Yeah.
Yes.
So
the design. Yeah. See?
So I don't know if anyone has any questions to ask specifically about grounding or personal, anything that's arising, please ask.
I do. I have a question. Do you spend time focusing on getting into your heart, Marcus, when working with others? When you talk about getting inspiration, is it, to me, I find if I can come into my heart, I become more authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is part of the landing process. So the heart, in a way, is the connection between the
Intellect
down and the life energy coming up. So this is kind of the vertical world of inspiration and life force. And the horizontal world of relating are kind of meeting in the heart in a way. If I have managed to open that or keep it open as much as possible, then this is kind of a crossing where I can easily connect these worlds. On a lower level, this is not so easily possible because I don't have access so much to the vertical, to the inspiration. I am inspired, but I don't. When I'm below the heart, inspiration for me is an accident. From the level of the heart and maybe also upwards, inspiration is a process I can design. Or it can be like this. And if I'm above the heart and I'm relating to people, they will not understand me. At least most people not. Very inspired people who kind of function on this level, they will understand you. You kind of, in very inspired teams, you will feel totally great and things will work easily out. But then when you come to kind of teams which work on a more basic level, they even will not understand you. They will hear your words, but huh?
Yep, I understand.
So, but on the level from the heart, you can reach people much easier than from the more up level or from the more down level.
So, do you use grounding? When I ground, it's because I'm too much in my head and I need to come back more into my body and to feel things. I can sit under a tree and imagine my energy going into the center of the earth. When I come back out of it, I'm always a lot calmer. Is this what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yes. And also to distinguish, is it an imagination to go to the center of the earth or really a going? This is a difference. Because
I always think I am.
Yeah, you think you am.
Yeah.
It's interesting to listen to our words. I think I am.
Yeah.
That's it. But to see imagination is a mental operation. And it's good to start something. Definitely in our Western world, it's a good starting point because this is what we mostly relate to. But then feeling a felt sense of something is something very different. It's a different frequency. For example, when you give an imagination to a child, the child will not understand you. If you give it through the antenna of your whole body, the child will know what you're talking about. So just to see that imagination is still a mental process. And very, very often we think we feel.
But if you see somebody laughing, if you see a video of somebody laughing, you can actually be infected by that energy.
Yes.
Is that what you mean as against having imagination?
No, it's not
physical experiencing.
I'm not against imagination. I just want to give it its place.
Yeah.
And be precise what it really is. And yes, if somebody really laughs from the video, you are affected. If somebody laughs from the video, you're also affected, but different. Because the system says, what? There is this body movement, but no transmission of emotional energy.
Yeah.
And then we get these mixed messages. And this disturbance is intelligent. Because it wants to clarify what's really going on. I see this movement of your mouth, but I cannot feel you. Hey, what's going on there?
Authentic communication. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So that the messages what we mentally talk about, what our physical body expresses, and the emotional background of that, if they are online, I have a clear transmission and people will understand me. Misunderstanding is already a symptom of an incongruent communication.
Thank you.
It's not something I can solve by more mental input. That's possibly not possible.
Thank you.
Markus, what for you is the difference between imagination and visualization? So for an example, if I start with a guided meditation, I'm imagining walking through a forest. But when you get really, really deep into meditation and the frequency changes, then you move into another aspect and you may be in another place, you may be with other people that feels very real. That to me is not imagination.
No.
It's a form of visualization through the feelings and emotion of being in a different frequency. Do you understand?
I hope so. I will have a look. So in a way, visualization for me is a form of imagination more on the visual realm. So some of us are very auditive. So example, if a musician, he can not visualize things, he can auditize maybe things. Yes, these sound worlds. If we are more kind of visual, we have this kind of visualization, as you say. It's a form. First of all, it's also a mental. Most probably, it's to start with a mental operation. But then, if you really think if you imagine yourself, I try to make that clear. I imagine walking through the forest, and maybe you can see that the energy is here. This cloud of activity is here. But then I imagine going through the forest. And then it comes already into my physical body. And then I can listen to the birds. And the more I get it into a felt sense, not only a thought process, but a felt sense. And then my physical is already starting to walk through this forest. I feel the ground. I smell the leaves, the water. I hear the birds. Then this becomes more a congruent process. And in this congruency, I will see what works and what doesn't work. Then we are coming back to this grounding. I can feel myself walking in the forest. And I might even face my fear to step into a wild boar. Or to face my fear of going into the dark forest. Oh, wow, what's happening here? And then the fear in a way is real.
Yes, and it'd probably be tested in the muscles in your body. Your body would react.
Yes, and then you also feel that. You feel the hesitation, the contraction. And then your mind process already speeds up. And then, oh, wow, I'm thinking about, can I come back, feel the fear, see that it's just an inner movie, and still I can have the fear. And then it's authentic again. It's not that the fear has to go away. I can feel fear and move anyway. This is not about the perfect life according to the ideas of my mind. It's about being real. I have an inspiration and my system is automatically concerned. Yes, that's a fact. If I want to deny that, I will never go with this inspiration.
It's about being present. No, you have to really, really be present with that. Otherwise, if it's a mental thing, it's an escapism.
Yes, it's yeah. And also when we kind of when we, for example, use meditation, it also depends on what you mean when you say meditation. There are these kind of formless meditations into silence. This is one thing. And then there are kind of contemplations about something, a kind of a deeper contemplation about something. This is different, a different process. So the one gives more space around what is happening, and the one gives a deeper recognition of what is happening. In the very core, they are the same, but on the way there, they are very different, but very helpful.
I have a question, Markus, or not a question, a discussion point. It's Patty here.
Hi, Patty.
Today morning, after a couple of days of feeling extremely tired and after the Christmas hassle and family returning after 5 years away to live on my property with me, I was pretty tired and quite low in energy. However, I decided, what about we all jump in the car and we go down to Bondi Beach, not Bondi Beach, Byron Bay Beach. I live in near northern New South Wales in Australia, right?
Yeah.
We'll go for a swim, then we'll go across and have lunch at this very special place called the Macadamia Castle, right? Make beautiful macadamia nut things. And then across to Crystal Castle, which is up in the hinterland in the forest. And I know it's a very spiritual place with lots of Buddhist stupas and labyrinth walks and spiral walks and things like that. I was tired. I was tired after dealing with the kids at Byron Bay Beach and then going through lunch with them and the family. And I was pretty blah when I entered this magnificent temple in the forests. Please go there, everybody, if you ever come to the hinterland of northern New South Wales. It's called Crystal Castle. And it has the biggest geodes of crystal that live on the planet. They found them in Uruguay, and many other beautiful spiritual sites and gorgeous gardens of rainforest. And I walked around this with the kids and I was still feeling very tired. And as I came away, and I wasn't driving the car, so I was sitting in the back this time with my two grandkids, and I suddenly started to feel energized. And I was just telling stories with these kids about bunyips and inventing incredible journeys of adventure from my life that I invented. And my two grandchildren, 11 and 8, were just enthralled. For the whole hour and a half drive home, these kids who had been whinging all morning were suddenly alive with the energy from my grandmother's storytelling. And next morning, I went to bed early, and this morning I woke up and all of that tiredness that I'd had since Christmas just lifted off me. And I've just been feeling great all day today. Now, I'm wondering about the energy of that incredible place. Or was it the way I play acted with those kids, the energy of those children in the back seat of the car? What was it that changed the whole energy feeling matrix of my being to bring me to wake up this morning so alive that I wanted to go running on the beach instead of a lazy walk?
Okay. So what would you like to have? A kind of a generalized answer to what could it be, or a more concrete answer to your own process?
More about, I think I'm wondering about whether spaces like that incredible retreat can really affect us like that.
Okay, so definitely there are places on the planet which have a higher or lower energy. This is clear. And when we come to places where, for example, people are worshipping something in a very authentic way, we naturally feel uplifted because people relate to something higher. So if you kind of go to a certain mosque, or you go to the Western Wall in Israel, or you go to some kind of cathedral where the practice is real, you will feel that. People relate in a more authentic and worshipping way to something higher. They pull down these higher energies into our realm. So definitely this exists. And the older the place is, the more incorporated the energy will be there. And of course, there are also natural places like waterfalls or kind of certain wells or something where there's a higher energy. What some people call these ley lines or so, for example. This certainly exists.
Yes.
And
yes, I was saying the beauty of that place was quite stunning. Just to sit and contemplate the amazing growing things that are so loved by the people that run that institution. It's just obvious. Everything is just flowing with love and light.
Yes. And then we could assume it is only about the place. But maybe if you have a deeper look into that, we also can say, your energy got a little bit stuck in being against the process with your family. And in the moment you went to this place, you started to agree. And the yes to what is allows your energy to move again. Because otherwise you're just moving with your car and have the handbrake pulled. So one foot on the accelerator and one on the brake. So this is, of course, this process is not so easy. And in your case, I would say it's both. It's the place. But first of all, it's your agreement. You say, yes, this is what I like. I didn't like the family thing. You contracted a little bit around that. And you also can feel that in your body, most probably. And in the moment you come to this place, you feel this yes, your muscles relax because you don't have to resist the moment. Your emotional energy starts to flow again and your mind calms down because it's not fully fueled by the avoidance. So I think there are both possibilities.
Can I add something to that? I think Patty...
Just a second. Patty, is this
yes,
for...
I'm fine. That's good.
Okay.
It's just more of an expression of what happened for me, and I thought it was quite remarkable. And I was curious about whether it was actually the environment of that place or whether it was the high energy I got from interacting with the kids and getting the feedback from them that was what pulled me out and allowed me to come back to my normal high energy self today, because I'd been extremely low since Christmas, basically.
I think it's both. You also could resist the energy of this place and then you're pissed anyway.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think the deeper key to this is your yes to the situation. And when you don't want to be with your family or your kids in a certain way, that you also start to talk about it and make it kind of clear.
Markus, could it be sometimes that people have like a near-death experience, or they have an accident or something, and then they don't properly come back into their bodies?
Just a second. Joe asked something, so maybe this was related to the process from before. And then let's come to you, and then Bernadette has kind of risen the hand. So
thank you.
A movement here.
Thank you. I wanted to say that the Crystal Castle is an amazing energy place, and I think, Patty, you found your inner child when you went there, and it aligned then with your children or your grandchildren. That was my take on it. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Yes, thanks, Joe. That's pretty accurate, I think.
Okay. Hi, Joe.
We've got Gary here, and we've got Markus all the way from Sydney, who's come up to be with us. Anton, I'm sorry.
Anton.
You're Markus in there. Markus is in there. And
the Celtic Huguenot.
We've got three of us all watching, and none of you can see us because my computer's camera's gone on the blink.
But we're in paradise, so we're happy.
We're happy.
Okay. This is Bernadette talking, is this?
No.
This is Patty still talking. We hand over.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank
now
you.
I get it.
Markus, you spoke about replacing that we feel something and then we fit an action into that doesn't serve us. We go.
Oh, no.
We can go back and have thoughts that we've assumed a lot of things and taken a lot of things with us. That, can we just talk a bit more about that process? That just really spoke to me. Is it something that I feel like I've got lots of that, and I've gone back and undone some? Is it an ongoing process? Is it something that once you learn a better habit, that you keep that? Or
No. I think first of all, it's very important that we don't blame us for a wrong process.
Yeah.
So I don't say it is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What I say is it is good to find the intelligence which is acting.
Yeah.
So if it's a young place, so you can easily see that when you're opposite people and they are talking, and then you might also look into certain different faces.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people talk about something which is disturbing, and you say, "Wow, I look into the eyes of a child."
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good to take that serious, that your perception in this way is true, and that you really, still there might be this 30, 40, 50-year-old body, but the pilot is a child in this moment.
Yeah.
And then to see what is the need of the child. It's not about pampering everything. This is not what I say, but it's about to clearly see whom am I talking to in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see, if you ever have seen a couple in front of you getting into an argument, it's amazing. You sit in front of them and you say, wow, how are these intelligent people mutating into this kind of zombie thing?
Yeah.
From the outside, you hardly can understand how that works, but from the inside, it's totally logic. It's totally clear how this comes. And from the outside, you're like, what's going on there? And what we don't get is that, for example, the woman is wanting something, and the man is hearing his mother talking, and then he contracts, and then he is 10 and resisting everything. And in the moment, the woman feels kind of, oh, her father always was not present with her, and now she is free. And we still have these grown-up bodies, but we have a communication pattern, which is 3 and 10.
Yeah.
It's not easy to solve. So to see what is really talking through me. And then to find a safe place for that. And first of all, an acceptance. Oh yeah, I feel young inside. I feel young. And feeling 10-year-old, I'm not in the place to decide if I have to have a new job or a new house or an argument with my partner. When I'm 10, I cannot do that. And then to see, can I first of all care for this place in myself?
Yeah.
Can I contain it? This is already great. Or am I so in regression that I see something is happening, but I cannot get a grip on it? This is already also good, but it's still very disturbing. Or I'm so in it that I have to have the argument because it feels so real. And what kind of, or in this process, it's kind of starting to open a little bit the perception again of my inner state. Who am I really in this moment? And so in a way, yes, this is part of this grounding process, actually.
And something that I relate to with Jenna is, I don't know if it's the fear, but it's also the overachieving. So I can be very strong in my whatever I've put on top of who I am. So for me, it's more like an unraveling. It's being, not having the answers, not figuring it out. So ways to help me get back to that? Like, what are the...
Yes. Yeah, because normally this is what we kind of learn also culturally. So when some kind of idea comes in, it will hit, when I said with this drop of light or this water drop, and it comes in, there is most certainly somewhere a moment that it hits a closed gate. Or it falls into an empty space and you go, whoa, where has it gone? So that there are structures in my system saying stop. And then this stop, this not feeling or this contraction is first of all like a gate. And behind the gate there is something. And this something, I told once my system, my intention is not to experience that again. So I will find ways around that. And to become mentally or achieving is, for example, one of these ways. The possibility in this moment is to see, wow, well, what am I hitting here? And then to see what is inside this structure. The structure is maybe in my muscles, but also in the energetic system, a contraction. I stop a movement. This is this loop of the circular energy. Something is circulating. I have created a structure. And so now, what is inside of that? And inside of that is an energetic movement. Inside of that there is a certain intelligence. There is a relational capacity, but also a feeling. And mostly what I don't want to have is the feeling. So the price for opening that is to feel this disturbing feeling. The good news is I am not a helpless child anymore. I'm a at least partly matured being who can go into a position, so, I already see that this is a sub-personality of mine. But I also have an awareness that this is happening. So I'm not anymore totally bound to it. I'm not totally identified with it. I see that this is there. I see that I am disturbed. This is in one way even more uncomfortable, and the other way it's the first step into the possibility to change something. Because when I am it, what is there to change? I am this. Then the thing
that's what you talk about, the intelligence, is that part of us that can kind of be a third party viewing it.
Yeah. So for example, you sink into yourself, and then there is an area of uncertainty. Mostly, very often we call it uncertainty or wobbly or insecure. And the first thing is to feel insecure. I feel insecure. Not I know that there is insecurity, but to really feel insecure, to make it me again. I feel insecure. And this will open up the loop. And then, of course, when we kind of build groups, this is more a safe container. We have 5 times, 6 times, 10 times consciousness looking and feeling with the person. So we have a supportive surrounding, and we have the own unidentification, and then the energy, it's much easier that it starts moving again, and much more effective in a group. So then you dare, for example, to feel insecure with 10 other people. And 10 other people feel that you feel insecure, more or less. When I also don't want to feel insecure, it's hard to feel with you, of course. If it's easier for me, I can do that. I offer you a platform for being who you are. And then we presence this. And then your system after some time, yes, I feel insecure. The same as we had with Patty and this place. Yes, this place feels good. Yes, this is how it is. and the yes makes the energy moving again. This is the gate for movement. Then the emotional energy will move, and it takes the fuel out of your mind, out of your achieving. If it's a compensatory achieving, it is not. If it's a compensatory achieving, you will, even if you achieve it, it feels empty. Because it's not what it's about. It's about the compensation. And the more you sink in, and then finally you stand on the ground. You stand in your land. You're the queen again of your land. And then you're in relation with the land. You see its needs. You see its difficulties, its wealth. And then things become much more real again.
Thank you.
Also, and also if you feel these feelings, this is the energy, the hidden energy comes out either through your mind, you're disturbed and thinking a lot, not to feel, or it comes from the outside as a symptom. You always run into the same things again and again. The loop and the way you have created it is already working in your life. This is not a free will. You have no free will in this. This is totally automatic. The decision is already done. It happened 20 or 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
In the moment this energy comes in your life, it's already decided how you will be. And now to unravel this process again, to get you back on the pilot seat. Stop the autopilot.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, Markus, this is Michael Simmons. What you were just saying about achieving really, I think it resonates quite a lot with me. And in my case, if I think back 15 or 20 years when I was starting my working career, I think it's probably a classic case of somebody that's trying to compensate for insecurities. And the way that I compensated was by trying to achieve. And I was driven to some achievement because of an insecurity, you can call it. But then I think I reached a point in my life where I started to get over that insecurity. And I felt as if I didn't need to achieve because of that insecurity. But I think in my case, the problem I have is I no longer achieve, I feel. I've lost the sense of achievement. It's almost as if I need to find a new relationship with achievement because I'm not driven by that insecurity anymore, at least not as much.
Yes.
And I guess that maybe that's one thing that I would wish to come out of the sessions with you is to really explore what achievement means to me or how to achieve again.
Yes.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes, of course. Because when we take the fuel out of our compensation, our life will change in a way. But then we might only be partly through already the insecurity, for example. So maybe there is a deeper insecurity still waiting for you to embrace it. Because in a way, sometimes we come into seemingly difficult situations because we are halfway in and halfway out. We already managed to be not so driven anymore, but still it's active. Then it doesn't have enough energy for a good compensation, but it also is not yet on the ground. And we are very poorly educated in following our inner longing, our inner authenticity, and our inner compass. So we mistrust that in a way, very often. We learn to do it like others do it and not our ways. We have from childhood very often we are poorly educated in that. And this needs a lot of courage and also maybe support with like-minded people on this path.
And I think you've just hit, I think you've just hit the nail on the head, because in the last couple of years I've been through a bit of a transformation in my life, and as part of that transformation I've gone through a lot of searching in terms of what is this new direction that I want to take in life, or is the existing direction the right one? And I think the answer is no. But if it's not, what is the new direction? And Jenna came along recently and slapped me on the back of the wrist and said, "You're thinking about it too much. You're searching too much. You need to be more present." So I guess that's the other part of this, is how to explore that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you like a more personal answer or a more generalized answer?
I think maybe a personal answer. Yeah.
So my feeling is, when you talk, I get a feeling of this. And when I feel into you, my feeling is in the area of your solar plexus, between your solar plexus and your navel, there is this like butterflies, which most probably your system might interpret as insecure or something. And to settle in this energy, because still it prevents you from really put your roots fully into the ground. You already have achieved, or most probably a lot, but there is still a lot of energy waiting. And then you search away from this disturbance. It's like a trampoline. We hit this energy, and then we're gone. And in former times you achieved, this was your way, and now you see this is not really working anymore, but you don't have you don't need, or you didn't build a different compensation, which in one way is good, but also it looks a little bit empty because there is nothing, there's no structure the energy goes into. And in your case, maybe really to see, when you start thinking, is this a creative thought process of following something? Finding out how to travel to the US, or how to find out to have your next step, or a new house, a new flat, or whatever? Or is it just escaping from the disturbance in your belly? And in this case, my feeling is there is still a lot of energy for you, and you're sitting on a gold mine and you're not really in it yet. And it feels disturbing. So be disturbed. Feel the disturbance without acting too early on it. Until it's already happening in some ways. So my feeling is you're stepping into it already. I can feel your legs now more than before. So somehow your system is already following the process. And you're starting to go deeper. You're starting to sink deeper into this. Yeah, you feel that. And then in the belly there is this, and a little bit like an empty place. And to kind of research that a little bit deeper, what this is.
Actually, I find it amazing what you're saying, because that's exactly where I'm feeling at the moment. I feel this weight in my legs, but also tingling sensation in my legs, but also exactly as you're saying. But I also notice my spontaneous reaction is for some reason I'm afraid of it. I want to resist it. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's great. No, that is great. Don't ask why. I'm resisting it. This is my automatic. Automatically, when I come there, I resist. Yes. And the tingling is just your life force starting to flow again. It's like a numb lake which comes back. And actually, this part of your body is numb. You don't feel that with the fullness you could have. And now you go there, and your presence invites the energy to move again. This is the tingling. This is very good, actually.
Amazing. Thank you.
And if you stay in that, and allow the tingling, allow the disturbance, you will see there's a well is coming up. A lot of energy is in that. And then at some point you will be, oh, yes. And then you know, and then you can move.
I need to find a way to design this situation. Business situation
No, that's very easy. You don't need to. Just feel it. That's it. You already have created it. Don't. This, what you just said, is already an escape. Stay in the discomfort. In this, feel the tingle, be amazed, feel your system wanting to contract and see if you can undo it, unlearn it. My automatic answer is this. Okay, can I do this? Okay, no. No. And not put pressure onto it. Be loving.
I feel it gradually working its way down my legs, but at each point I feel this flinching resistance.
This is great that you feel that. This is your automatic. You step out of it and then it might fuel your thinking process. This is totally the process as you describe it. And in the moment you get really more clear with this. This is a huge step. You see how you contract your energy. It's like you contract a tube and then the water goes up and it fuels your mind with tons of ideas to escape. But the process is thinking. And then my feeling is we will kind of find a boy with a big heart and a big longing. And sometimes we learn that our longing is just a pain in the ass because it will never fulfill and it only brings us into trouble. But actually it's the compass of our life. And when we lose that, we are totally helpless, we are lost. The only thing we can do is follow others. And this is not always a good idea. And to allow for example, to be lonely with us, to feel not seen and not met with us, so that this goes into connection again. That this part who feels lonely sees that you can be lonely and be with us in relating. That if you feel, for example, lonely or in this state, you can reach out and connect. Because this energy, this is designed for connection. We cannot do this alone. This is not possible. There are things we can do alone, but there are also things we cannot.
When I allow myself to let go, I feel it's like it's an unusual feeling. I'm not used to feeling, but it's almost like a sense of liberation in the upper half of my body.
Yes.
I'm not even sure what that feeling is, but it's like a lightness.
Yeah, it's a relief.
Even
if down there it's very uncomfortable, you already feel the relief of letting go. Your muscles, your mind start to relax. But still down there is the fear to go into the basement. And to keep this both together. This relaxation, the relief, is a sign that you're on a good way. You're landing more. You take the fuel and the compensation away, and then your muscles can relax. Your mind gets more calm. Because you're exactly doing the process just in this very moment. And this is the effect. I feel a relief. I release my compensation. The tingling is the energy which flows again into where it wanted primarily go. It wanted to enliven your legs, your movement, your standing, your base, your structure. It wanted to incarnate, if we were to use this word. It wanted to build your substance. it is, maybe we are coming to the end in a way, but maybe in this point, fear is an emotion which tries to connect. Fear is a very basic emotion, and it's about connection. And if we learn that when we are in fear, we can go back into a safe structure. This is what it's about. The fear relaxes, we fill our pockets with security, and we go out again, exploring life. But therefore, we need a safe container from our parents. If this is not there, our substance and structure will not totally build, only partly what our parents can give. For the rest, we have to care on our own. But we cannot do it on our own. We need relating, because this is relating. Fear wants to relate. And mostly what we learn is, when I feel fear, I cannot go anywhere with it. There is nobody will understand me, I become ridiculed, I become mobbed, I become all kinds of cultural diseases. But any fear wants to relate, fear wants to have a safe place. And this is important. Fear is not stopping relating, but we very easily wire it like that, because the way was blocked in the past. When you go once to a playground outside and there are children 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, you can see that. Children go out and then they look back and then they run back to their mother or their father and then they get bored and then they go out again. The energy starts again. They go out. If the parents are playing on their cell phone or not interested, then you see that in the child. The energy locks. They don't have the courage to go out. It's not safe, and they cannot come back. And you feel, if you from this moment you watch the child, you feel the disturbance go with them the rest of the day. And if it cannot release, it's the rest of their life. And this builds again and again and again until it's a wired structure in our brain, in our muscles, in our bones, in our belief system.
I suspect in my case it's related to the fact that my father died when I was 6 years old, and I had a mother that wasn't particularly present.
Yes.
Perhaps some of that security structure wasn't in place as I would have ideally liked it.
Yes. So probably yes, but many of us have these structures built in. But the good news is we can care for this. And it's not blaming about the parents. They also can only give what they have. And they have their parents, and then we are back in Stone Age. So let's start now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, also thank you for bringing that up and the courage to go with us this part of your path. Thank you. Gina.
Yeah, I see we really ran over time, and thank you so much for being here and for answering all your questions. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do you have time for one very short question before we end this?
Yes.
We have someone with us who normally wouldn't be in a call like this, who he's taken medical treatment for cancer that is destroying the nerves in his feet.
Yes.
And I've heard of that happening to other people too, that this medication destroys the nerves in their feet. What do you recommend people do in those situations?
Whoa.
Is it too yeah, that's too big? Yeah.
I think in general.
So for grounding, I mean, you're really not getting grounded then.
No, it's easy. It's not easy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This to have a general answer for that is first of all not easy.
Okay.
What I would kind of do really is look, maybe this looks like a totally different thing, to look into nutrition, to really have the most healthy nutrition ever possible. And maybe also kind of look what attracts the person, like what is watering the mouth of the person, and not what is supposed to be healthy.
Yeah.
To enjoy whatever is enjoyable, to dare to have fun, and then according to the person also to massage the legs, the feet, to keep the presence, to invite the presence in the most beautiful way. So that also the regrowth, so in a way this is not only happening when you get chemotherapy, it's also happening with people with diabetes, for example, or some kinds of neuropathic things. So to activate the presence in these areas. And with some people you can do it like abstract, with Qigong, with visualization, imagination, felt sense exercises. But for some people you have to have it more real, because they are not so abstract. And then massage it and do all kind of things, walk barefoot, keep all what is still existing in the most possibly good way.
Okay.
To keep it healthy, to activate the energy in this. Do beautiful things, start to enjoy life. Because chemotherapy is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
And also to accept that this is about life and death, therefore I'm doing it. But then also to see, okay, have I done everything? And then also connect to people to get the fear of death moving, if this is possible. This is not easy.
Okay.
It's also to honor when people do that. It's a very disturbing situation. It's about life and death. It's really in our face then. And it's also like very individual. But the nutrition thing I would do, drink enough of healthy water, be with very beautiful people, not to spend too much time in the hospital, visit beautiful places, enjoy, keep the energy moving, see what your life is about, what you are living for, what you are surviving for example, if this is possible. But some people go to more crisis when you start this process, also to see if what a therapy can bring good into your life, what is appropriate in this moment. Not to, because every digging deeper, mostly it's also a destabilizing process, and to see if this is a good idea in this case.
Okay.
So to really decide very precise what is possible, what wants to be done, what brings energy first of all, and then do first of all the easy things with the most impact, and then maybe next steps.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Markus. And just to tell everyone that we will be doing more calls with you starting in a couple of weeks. It will be a Thursday instead of a Tuesday. Most of the calls, some of the calls are on Tuesday and some are Thursday, and they're all at Earthuni /Basecamp. I've called you Basecamp, Markus.
Yeah, thank you.
So looking forward to talking more to you.
Yeah, and it's not only like abstract like this, but we are really doing then very precise and exercises also.
Yeah.
To exercise together, to bring the energy moving, to create a field and a safe container together.
So I'd like to thank everyone who came here, and if that work resonates with you, you're welcome to join us, and anyone watching this too. And I'm looking forward to working with you again, Markus.
Yeah, thank you, Gina, for setting all this up, and also about your interest.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.